Thank you, Philadelphia. You have literally saved the world. You saved the world. I have it on good authority that if the Chiefs three-peated, the moon was going to retaliate and crash into the earth as a mercy kill for all of humanity, just so we didn't have to listen to Chiefs fans yell three-peat in our face anytime we tried to hype up our own team or have any sort of conversation about anything. But if I know anything about Eagles fans, you're gonna handle this with class and treat everybody with a ton of respect. Now, it took you 2 Super Bowl tries to beat the Patriots, and it took you 2 Super Bowl tries to beat the Chiefs. I respect your consistency. Now, the Chiefs came up short in their quest for a three-peat, and I think that's the nail in the coffin for a three-peat ever happening. It's just too difficult, and if a team bestowed with Satan's power couldn't pull it off, I'm not sure anyone can. Mr. Sirianni, tear down that three-peat banner. And you did. Before the Super Bowl, Sean McVay said Nick Sirianni, probably the most disrespected coach in the league. I agree.
You know, Sirianni, I think he's the most disrespected coach in the league for a guy that's making his 2nd Super Bowl appearance.
And he coached a hell of a game. Now, I think the Eagles were the perfect team to upend this dynasty, and they did it by kicking the piss out of the Chiefs. 40-22. I don't think the Commanders or any other NFC team was capable of pulling this off. Maybe the Rams if they continued to be hot at the right time in the postseason with their pass rush, but that's a big if. The Lions lacked a pass rush, which Philly showed us was the key to their victory. Instead of talking about the Chiefs' greatness, we can now talk about the significance of this Eagles team as one of the sneaky, underrated great teams. They didn't lose a game that Jalen Hurts finished since week 4. They won 14 games after starting 2-2 with a 160-point differential. They put up a record 55 points in the NFC Championship game against a team that was red hot and had beat them earlier in the season. Of course, the big move that put them over the top was acquiring Saquon Barkley in the offseason. Before that free agency period, running backs were still seen as a cheap commodity. And maybe the biggest surprise, Kansas City shut down Saquon, 25 carries for 57 yards. Jalen Hurts had more rushing yards at 72 and a rushing touchdown. KC took Saquon completely out of the game, and Philly still dominated. They still got him his carries. They stayed true to their identity. Without rushing for a lot of yards, Saquon forced Kansas City's defense to key on him way too heavily, in my opinion. Philly took advantage of that depressed running back market, dropped $12.5 million on a guy who rushed for 2,000 through the course of a season, and it made all the difference in the world.
So I got Saquon Barkley, best running back in the world.
They lacked that edge at running back 2 years ago when they were giving the ball to Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but they put an elite back behind the best offensive line in the game, and it gave them a dimension they sorely lacked since Nick Sirianni took over in 2021. And more importantly, it made Kansas City scared for the first time this season. They also did it with a new set of coordinators. Last year, it didn't look like they were going to recover, Philly, from the loss of Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, right? They were a total mess in 2023, but they made 2 great hires in Kellen Moore at offensive coordinator and the legendary defensive coordinator, Vic
Meatball
Fangio, who I'm glad finally has a ring. Fangio was never a fit in Miami, but you got him back to his Philly roots, and he cooked up a defense that was good enough to slow down the Chiefs in the biggest game of the year. Not just slow them down, but kick them in the dick over and over and over and over again until they were dickless. Dickless, I say! They had no penises anymore! He's a huge reason the Chiefs changed their identity a couple years ago. So I think it's only fitting that he gets the win that stops them from committing what would have been a dastardly three-peat. And it was his defense that shut the doors on the three-peat, right? The Eagles were up 10-0. And then Cooper DeJean broke it all open with that pick six. Yes, White Corner got a pick six in the Super Bowl, but Philly didn't dial up a single blitz. And they sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times with a strip sack late. Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, 3 total turnovers, and the second one was a backbreaker forced by Josh Sweat bulldozing Joe Tooney into Mahomes, who fired it to the other Eagles hero, Zach Bond. Like the Broncos in Super Bowl 50, the pass rush was unblockable, and it allowed the Eagles to control the game. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams combined for 4.5 sacks. Jordan Davis and Jalix Hunt each notched another sack and a half. Combined, absolutely dominant Eagles defensive performance that completely neutered the Chiefs' offense. An offense that looked off all year long, but kept making plays late to pull wins out of the Devil's arse. So thank you for plugging up the Devil's arse with your big, luscious Philly wings. Your wings. What do you think I was going to say? And congratulations to Jalen Hurts for winning Super Bowl MVP. I kind of would have liked to see it go to somebody on the defense, but Hurts earned that shit, made plays with his legs when he had to, and dropped a few freaking dimes to seal the victory. One of his best throws didn't even count because of a BS penalty. Fly, Eagles, fly. Winners and losers will be up tomorrow, breaking down the full game in detail as we do. So come back tomorrow and subscribe here to That's Good Sports.